Well, it's good to be with you. In my view, what's going on is the continuation of low-level warfare conducted by Iran via proxy, via the Houthis, against U.S. interests and Israeli interests. So the latest attack with sending some missiles against a U.S. destroyer, a naval ship, demonstrated once again that while it's not a particularly sophisticated form of attack, that the Houthi forces acting on at the behest of Iran have a number of different tools that can cause us trouble. They have drones, they have small boats, they have also small naval vessels that they can use. They've had pirates attacking essentially these. So part of this is harassment, part of it's political warfare, and the U.S. is involved in deterrence. I would consider these actions so far to be mostly of an irritating nature. They are an irritant more than they are a serious threat. But remember, it was not too far from this in 2000 where the USS Cole was struck by a very low-tech, explosive-laden boat, resulting in the death of 17 U.S. sailors. So this is definitely a theater of continuing low-level warfare between the U.S. and the Houthis, but by extension, Iran.
President Biden removed the Houthis from a list of terrorist groups. Is he considering, or is his administration considering reversing that decision?
I don't think they're there just yet, but the political strategy for Iran is interesting here. There have been rumors that the Saudis, who are leading a coalition that has been fighting the Houthis in Yemen, have been looking for an exit strategy from that war. They're bogged down, as you probably know, in the southern part of Yemen. There's really a politically unstable situation. There's a separatist movement, a very weak sort of UN-recognized government, and then still Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. And then in the north, you have the Houthis. So the Saudi-led intervention hasn't really provided the stability it was hoped for. I think delisting the Houthis was part of this strategy by which there was going to be sort of a de-escalation of that particular conflict. However, for Tehran, it's a very good thing to have Saudi unable to pull out of Yemen. And so even as they were using Hamas, Iran was using Hamas and its attack on October 7th to scuttle Saudi-Israeli normalization. I think they're also using the Houthis to pin down the Saudis and prevent them from having some sort of a regional de-escalation.
Do you think this is a result of the policy the previous President Barack Obama put into place, in that he wanted the United States to pull out of the Middle East? He didn't want to be so involved in the region. He wanted to do his famous pivot towards China and Asia. Are we slowly seeing the Americans being dragged back into the Middle East, and how far will that go in your view?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there were two faulty assumptions under the Obama administration, and let's keep in mind that there's a remarkable continuity of personnel between the Obama administration and the current Biden administration. The first was the idea that the U.S. no longer had critical interests in the Middle East that could not be looked after by our regional allies. And as recent events have shown, there are lots of interests that we have there, Israel security being one, energy flows another, humanitarian disasters of various stripes a third. But really, it's about keeping together our network of allies who need to know that we're committed to the region. That was the first false premise. The second false premise of that policy was the idea that Iran could be coaxed through some combination of carrots and removing sticks, frankly, not even sticks. So ending pressure on Iran of the sort that under President Trump was referred to as maximum pressure. That's economic pressure, that's military pressure. The idea that without getting any concessions in return, we can do things like delist Iranian companies, allow billions of dollars in frozen assets to be released, and delisting the Houthis. I think without any commensurate steps from Tehran, what we've seen is that that was also a false premise. I don't know how long it will take the Biden administration to realize that policy has failed, but certainly the evidence is accumulating.